Hey there, I'm Plus Frames, and this is the 5th episode of a Mortal Kombat podcast, which is an unofficial podcast for the MK fanatic. I hope your New Year's was good. Mine was pretty good. I'm just really excited. We're now in 2019. The MK community reveal for MK11 is only like a couple of weeks away, so I'm just really excited to see gameplay footage for MK11, and it's just around the corner now. For this episode, I'm really just going to watch the MKX Tower Endings and speculate whether I think that they will be canon for MK11 or not. I always liked doing this as a kid, and it was always fun to me. It always hyped me up for the coming game, so I'm going to continue to do that for this one, but I'm going to record it and let you guys hear it, and please let me know your thoughts on it. In a couple of weeks when the community reveal happens, I'm sure I'll get proven wrong with a bunch of this stuff, but I just have a lot of fun doing it and figured I would do it here. Before I get into that, though, I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone on Twitter that's liked and retweeted my podcast episodes. I'm really shocked at kind of the love I'm getting, and that really makes me happy. That pushes me to want to keep doing the show more regularly. And I just can't thank you enough for the love you've shown me, and I'll do my best to show the love right back. But now I'm just going to get right into it. I don't have too much time, and all of the arcade endings themselves take up like 28 minutes in total, and I don't want the podcast to be too long, but let's just get right into it.
The alien tore through Shinnok's flesh, reducing him to a bloody pulp. The creature then returned to its nest in Outworld. It continued to venture forth looking for suitable hosts for use in establishing a new hive. The alien found more than a few intriguing species and dragged them back to its lair. Once a queen had been spawned, the alien's new hive multiplied quickly and spread unchecked throughout the realm. Emperor Khan attempted to save Outworld in a desperate final attack on the alien's main nesting ground. The attack failed. Outworld belonged to the aliens.
So that was Aliens ending. I don't believe any of the guest characters, their ending are canon, but I just feel so bad for Reptile. In the video, he's like one of the people that one of the aliens used as a host. Can fucking people just stop using poor Reptile as a host? It's a good ending. It's not, I don't think it's canon at all. And, you know, I don't expect Raiden is now trying to take Outworld from the aliens, but it's entertaining. Now for Bo' Rai Cho's ending.
Having learned that Outworld was now protected by the Mortal Kombat tournament, Bo' Rai Cho returned to defend his homeworld. He was no friend of Khan, but no realm deserved subjugation. Bo' Rai Cho began training Outworld warriors for the fight to come. With Bo' Rai Cho's fighting skills and leadership, Outworld repelled the Earth Realm aggressors. His former friend Raiden had been denied.
I don't know if Bo' Rai Cho's ending is going to be canon. It actually seems like it could be. Based on how MKX left off, it does seem like Raiden is not just protecting Earthrealm, but he's actively trying to invade other realms and make sure that there's no threat to Earthrealm. I'm not quite sure I believe that Bo' Rai Cho would train all of the Outworld warriors and lead the resistance against Raiden. I don't know if the Outworld warriors would let Bo' Rai Cho train them all and then lead the resistance against Raiden. But I do think that Raiden's going to be trying to invade Outworld.
Cassie Cage's impressive victory over Shinnok led Raiden to give her a new important task: hunting down a soul stealer. Cassie did not have to be told that the suspect could be a resurrected Shang Tsung. Having tracked him from the site of his last known assault, Cassie confronted the withered old man. He fought desperately but was ultimately defeated. As the old man lay dying before her, Cassie asked his name. With a mixture of sadness and relief, he whispered, "Shujinko."
Poor fucking Shujinko, man. That's This fucking guy. I kind of actually think that this ending may be canon because Cassie basically is the victor of MKX. The interesting part about this is not so much that she kills Shujenko, but that she's sent on the quest by Raiden to find this person who's stealing souls. So maybe that is a resurrected Shang Tsung, and maybe he will be back. This obviously wasn't Shang Tsung that she killed, but Shujenko's not a soul stealer. So there is someone out there stealing people's souls. Whether that's just Ermac, I think it's more likely that it's Shang Tsung, and I think it's likely that Shang Tsung will return in MK11. Here's Devorah's ending.
Devorah's ultimate plan was not to destroy Shinnok, but to enslave him. She implanted larvae, her young, in his body to gestate. Having consumed the godlike power of their immortal host, Devorah's offspring were unlike any chitin ever born. As they matured, they spread like locusts throughout the realms. Her army of chitin super drones brought glory to Devorah, their beloved queen, and destruction to all.
I think this is a cool ending. I don't really think that this one will be canon, but I do think it's a cool ending. Now for Ermac's ending.
Alone once more, Ermac searched the labyrinthine corridors of Shao Kahn's old fortress, searching for the source of a faint voice calling to him. Suddenly, a wisp of dust brushed his chest, wrenching free one of his many souls. The dust took the form of a man who began to consume soul after soul. As the weakened Ermac stared helplessly, he recognized the mysterious figure. The sorcerer Shang Tsung, returned from death.
So I believe that's actually canon as well, because I believe Cassie Cage's ending is canon and that Shang Tsung or another soul stealer is back. I do believe that this is really the soul stealer that Raiden was talking about. And I don't think Raiden is too concerned about all the souls that Shang Tsung stole from Ermac. I think Shang Tsung is also stealing other people's souls. And I think Shang Tsung's going to be a pretty powerful foe in MK11. And now for Aaron Black's ending.
Nearly 150 years ago, Aaron Black had been hired by Shang Tsung to assassinate an Earthrealm warrior. In return, Shang had slowed Black's aging process. He could therefore afford to be patient. If an employer wanted someone dead, they would be in time. A team of young Earthrealm warriors had caused Aaron Black's current employer, Kotal Khan, much inconvenience. With the patience of a viper, Black eliminated them all.
I believe this one is partially true. I do believe he went to this convoy and tried to murder them all, but I don't think he was successful. I do think he murdered one of them, and I'll get into that a little bit later. And now for Fara Tor's ending.
For many years, Fara and Tor were a symbiotic pair, as is natural with their species. But that bond was broken when Fara came of age and began the Great Transformation. Fara Tor returned to the Tarkatan Wastes, where Fara began her metamorphosis. The process took an agonizing 3 Outworld years, during which time Tor withered and died. Now a brute, Fara will be chosen by a rider. A new symbiotic pairing will be forged, and new battles will be won.
Now, I don't believe this ending will be canon, but I would not be surprised if we saw Fara in kind of a teenage young adult form in MK11. And if you see the video of this, you'll see that, you know, she's somewhat of a child, maybe a young teenager when she gets off of Tor. There's a part where she's like a little bit older, a little bit taller, and then there's a part where she's basically the massive size of Tor herself at the end. I don't think they would do that, I think it would be somewhere where she's kind of on her own, but like a little bit older and taller. But, I could be wrong. That kind of does go against everything this character is about. But it is a character I could see MK introducing as kind of a standalone character. Here's Goro's ending.
The Shao Kahn had become outcasts for refusing to aid either side in the Outworld civil war. But with the conflict over, Prince Goro decided to re-enter the political landscape. Kotal Khan's armies were weak from years of battle. Melina's rebels were scattered. It was an easy matter for the Shao Kahn to seize control. The newly crowned Emperor Goro had his rivals exterminated. No Ashtek, Kaitin, Edenian, or Tarkatan would usurp his throne.
As cool as I think that would be, I also don't think that this one is canon. And now for Jackie Briggs.
After his incursion into Earthrealm, Kotal Khan had become a prime target of Special Forces surveillance. Jackie Briggs was assigned to monitor his activity. Jackie followed Kotal Khan to an equatorial jungle, where he entered a hidden pyramid. Inside, he retrieved a glowing crystal skull. Jackie attacked the Emperor and raced away with the object. Jackie was praised for her work, but couldn't help thinking her interference was what Kotal Khan had wanted all along.
So there's some weird shit coming out of the skull at the end there. I can't tell if it's like snakes or if it's tentacles or just some kind of smoke or something like that. Whatever it is, it seems ominous and it's going to hurt, the people of Earth. It could be canon. It may not be. I have no idea. This is Jason's ending.
Like Scorpion, Jason Voorhees was a revenant. A vengeful spirit returned to life. Hundreds had fallen victim to his bloodlust. Liu Kang, now ruler of the Netherrealm, took notice. An immortal killer like Jason would be useful in his plans for conquest. He drew Jason into the Netherrealm and offered him an endless bounty of slaughter in return for his allegiance. Jason's simple reply was to destroy Liu Kang.
Yeah, I don't think that's canon either. Kind of cool, but it looks like he strangles Liu Kang with an intestine or some shit. That's pretty cool, but I don't think that's canon. Now the ending for Jax.
After Shinnok's fall, the hospitalized Johnny Cage asked Jax to fill in as leader of his squad. Jax agreed. It was a chance to spend time with and protect Jackie. Boarding their transport after a routine mission, Jax's greatest fears were realized as the mercenary Aaron Black sprung from the cargo bay and fired on the young heroes. Fortunately for Jackie and company, Jax's quick reflexes and bulletproof arms deflected the assassin's rounds. Jax quickly subdued Black, then slipped into shock as a red stain engulfed his chest.
Okay, so I don't know, man. You get murdered in your own tower ending. I think you're pretty much done for. And this is also the same scene that is shown in Aaron Black's ending. So I believe that this is actually canon, and I don't think Jax is coming back for MK11 unless, he comes back with some manipulation of the timeline, but I don't necessarily see that happening. I don't see there's really any reason to bring him back from the timeline. And now the ending for Johnny Cage.
Johnny Cage's life had turned out to be stranger than any science fiction film, but he knew the final scene was approaching. With Raiden's direction, Johnny was able to sail to Shang Tsung's abandoned island fortress, where his adventure had begun, to contemplate his future. Amid the rubble, Johnny found an ancient tome. Its pages revealed that Shang Tsung had unraveled the secret to Edenian long life. Johnny Cage's retirement would have to wait.
This one I'm not so sure about. There's a part of me that goes, okay, well, Johnny Cage was a big part of the MKX story. It's interesting to me that he goes to Shang Tsung's island, which is clearly at least part of MK11, as that's where the trailer shows. But I don't necessarily believe that Johnny Cage is going to be blessed with eternal life. So I don't necessarily think that part is canon. Here's Kano's ending.
Kano had always been a survivor, but even he would one day succumb to fate. His ideals of ruthless terror would die with him, unless he could pass on his methods to a new generation. Combat, weapons, high-tech sabotage, torture, all would be part of the curriculum. But before his students could learn his techniques, Kano would beat the weakness out of them. They would understand, or die trying. Kano's first pupil? His own son. Class was now in session.
I feel like this one will be canon, and we'll likely see Kano's son in MK11. To be honest, I kind of don't want it to be canon, though. I wasn't really a huge fan of the combat kids, or whatever they're called. I like them kind of as characters, most of them, really, but I just wasn't a huge fan of the premise and the idea of it, and I really don't want to see like a fifth kid introduced in the next game, unless they just don't bring back someone. I think Jackie was the least popular, but, I didn't mind her too much, and especially if Jax isn't coming back, I suppose they'll have her, but I just wasn't a huge fan of the kids. And now for Kenshi's ending.
Having defeated Shinnok, Kenshi joined Takeda on his quest to avenge his mother Su-Chin's murder. Their travels took them to a cave where he and Takeda freed a man, Taven, encased in a stalagmite. Kenshi told Taven that his brother Dagon was the founder of the Red Dragon Assassin Clan. Dagon had not only murdered Su-Chin, but his and Taven's parents as well. Together, Kenshi, Takeda, and Taven lay siege to the Red Dragon base. Dagon fell victim to Kenshi's rage. Su-Chin's murder had been avenged.
That's a real cool ending. I like it. I feel like it's more of a nod towards Armageddon, though, and the previous timeline. I don't think that that's canon, mainly because it depicts Kenshi as the victor, the one that defeated Shinnok. It also just doesn't seem like that's where MK11 is going. They may be playable characters, but also I just don't think that they will be. And I know I said in my episode 3 roster prediction episode that I thought they would be, but now that I've had some time to think about it, and think about how NRS just resetted the timeline anyway, I don't necessarily think they're going to bring back Taven and Dagon and Chujenko and muddy up the waters. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a simple, straightforward story, but I don't think that they're going down the path of Armageddon, and I don't think NRS would really introduce them in just to make it all that much more of a confusing story. And now for Katana's ending.
Katana found herself walking the streets of a magnificent, shining city. This was Edenia, a realm freed from Outworld, and Katana was its beautiful queen. This was the timeline unaltered by Raiden. Earthrealm had been destroyed by Shao Kahn, but Katana had survived Armageddon and united the other realms to destroy him. Long-lasting peace was the result. Katana awoke from this vision to find herself in the Nether Realm. She was not the queen of Edenia, but a revenant of hell, and she hated Raiden for it.
It's an interesting ending, especially showing that, had Raiden not reset the timeline, Katana may have still been alive and was able to defeat Shao Kahn. I don't really think this one's canon, though. It's more of just an interesting idea. It's an interesting what if. Obviously, Katana is still a revenant in Hell or the Netherrealm, but I don't necessarily think that she's aware of the original timeline at all. And I don't think she would have been able to see the future of that timeline. And now for Kotal Khan's.
Kotal Khan returned to Outworld determined to rebuild his forces. But Raiden defeated him in a surprise attack and claimed dominion over Outworld. Desperate, the Emperor called upon the Elder Gods to aid in preserving his sovereignty. They granted his request, invoking the most sacred of contests. Now, once every decade, Kotal Khan must enlist his greatest defenders to face Raiden's challengers in mortal combat.
This ending is really interesting to me, and it may actually be canon, or part of the beginning of the story of MK11. The things that make me say this is that after MKX, if Raiden is dark and is running around trying to invade other realms to prevent them from trying to invade Earthrealm in return, he would essentially be doing what Shao Kahn did in UMK3 or the end of MK9, and the Elder Gods wouldn't look too kindly on that. That's maybe why they're getting involved with the timeline and this and that. But anyways, if you were to do that, the other realms would have rights to defend themselves in Mortal Kombat, just as Earth did in MK1. The thing that's interesting to me about this, that makes it seem like it may be plausible, is for whatever reason, this Mortal Kombat tournament in Outworld occurs once every decade, every 10 years, whereas the original Mortal Kombat tournament on Earth took place every 50 years. So it's strange to me that they would shorten it to make it 10 years, unless they wanted to make it more believable that they could bring in the combatants we know and love, Scorpion, SubZero, Liu Kang, all of them, and still be alive and within age to somewhat fight, whereas if this was 50 years in the future, that wouldn't be the case. So the shift from the 50 to 10 years, to me, seems like a plausible way to be able to allow all of the combatants that we know and love into this game, realistically. And now for Kun Jin.
For his role in saving Earthrealm, Kun Jin's family created a statue in his likeness for inclusion in Raiden's revered collection. But Kun Jin's thoughts were with one no longer accepted by his family, Kung Lao. Kun Jin set out to locate his cousin and found him in the Netherrealm. Raiden believed Kung Lao's tortured soul was forever trapped without Quan Chi's magic to free him. But Kun Jin knew the Shaolin was stronger than any sorcerer's spell. He vowed to help Kung Lao fight off the evil that had remade him.
I mean, sure, we'll see. I don't know if it will be canon or not. I do think it would be more interesting to have Kung Lao as a human again, but like trying to stop Raiden from being the galactical dictator, I guess, that they're kind of making him out to be. But I think that it won't necessarily be Kun Jin, Kung Lao. Like, I think Fujin will step in to help, and hopefully Nightwolf as well. Now for Kung Lao.
After Shinnok's defeat, Kung Lao found himself trapped in the Netherrealm, his soul corrupted by Quan Chi's dark magic. There he would have remained but for the aid of his cousin Kun Jin. Together, their Shaolin strength repelled the evil sufficiently enough for Kung Lao to escape that dark realm and control his inner demons. Compromised but not lost, Kung Lao now exists as an agent of vengeance. He will show evil no mercy.
Okay, so I forgot that Kung Lao and Kun Jin pretty much had the same endings. So maybe that changes my mind a little bit more. Maybe that will be canon. So they'll probably fight together to try to stop and maybe save Dark Raiden. Hopefully Fujin and Nightwolf will be there to help. And now for Leatherface's ending.
Leatherface had cut down the old man in the strange outfit. Maybe now that he was dead, the pretty yellow-haired gum-chewing girl would notice Leatherface. Putting on his fanciest mask, Leatherface found the army camp where the pretty girl could be found most days. He had to cut through a few guards and more than a few of her friends to get to her, but it was worth it. He pulled out the old man's face, which he'd saved for the girl as a present. The girl didn't want the present, and she wasn't being nice. So Leatherface chopped her into tiny pieces for Drayton to use in his chili. He then took off his mask and set to work on the girl's face. If she wasn't going to be his girlfriend, she could be his in other ways.
That's just a really disgusting and disturbing ending. I don't believe it's canon. Let's move on. And now for Liu Kang.
With Shinnok defeated, Liu Kang explored the Nether Realm, a world that, without Shinnok's controlling power, had descended into chaos. Liu Kang was no sorcerer or elder god, but his fighting skill was more than enough to beat Netherrealm's demons into submission. Liu Kang realized that Netherrealm was his for the taking, and that ruling appealed to him. He would assume Shinnok's throne, and ponder the conquering of other realms.
That's an interesting one, and I think for the most part that's actually going to be canon. I don't necessarily know if Liu Kang's going to try to invade other realms, but at the same time he is still a revenant here, so that's possible. And now for Melina.
Overcome with exertion, Melina collapsed and felt her soul gliding through the ether. She awoke in an incubation chamber. Nearby were countless others, each containing an exact copy of her. Melina found she could read each being's mind and they hers. They quickly realized the benefit of so many fierce warriors sharing one mind. As they plotted revenge on their enemies, the architect of the Melina's awakening laughed quietly.
So the architect of Melina was Shang Tsung. Another reference to him. I just think he'll be in MK11. I don't really believe this. She is dead after all. He may have another clone of her that he could use and basically really just be exactly who she was in MK9 before trying to start this rebellion kind of civil war in Outworld. Also, I think Melina could come back just through the timeline bending aspect. But yeah, I don't really believe that there's going to be an army of Melinas out there. Now for Predator.
This world called Earth produced many worthy opponents, which made for excellent sport. Some possessed a power previously unknown to the Predator's race, sorcery. The Predator sought to harness this new power for use in his conquests. He analyzed a trophy from a recent battle and eventually discovered its secrets. With the power of sorcery, the Predator was unstoppable and decimated whole worlds single-handedly. He had become the apex predator.
The artifact they're referring to is Shinnok's amulet. Cool premise, but not canon. Now for Quan Chi.
Quan Chi had long been a servant of Shinnok. His role in freeing him from imprisonment had not gone unnoticed by the Elder Gods. Shinnok was no longer a threat, but Quan Chi's actions had given rise to a new power. After much deliberation, the Elder Gods contrived a plan to rebalance this power before it grew further. Free will was burned from Quan Chi's soul and replaced with a single directive. He must kill Raiden.
Yeah, I think this one may actually be canon. Now, obviously, Quan Chi was beheaded by Scorpion, who kind of fucked over Earth there. But I think it's possible that the Elder Gods do have the ability to bring someone back from the dead. And this does kind of seem to fit where I think the story in MK11's going. So, we'll see. Now for Raiden's.
After millennia of fending off Earthrealm's enemies, Raiden began to wonder if defense was the best path to peace. In a change of tactics, Raiden and the Shirai Ryu attacked Kotal Khan's armies before they could rebuild. They decimated the Emperor's forces, leaving Outworld at their mercy. The victorious Raiden claimed dominion over Outworld. The first of many threats to Earthrealm had been removed.
So this is basically the same ending as Kotal Khan's, just I guess from Raiden's perspective. But it doesn't mention anything about going into the Mortal Kombat tournament. Obviously he would need to, otherwise the Elder Gods would step in, so I think that that's likely going to be canon. We'll see. I think that will be kind of the beginning of the MK11 story. And now for Reptile.
After Shinnok's defeat, Reptile was ordered to Earthrealm by Kotal Khan to assess the damage. Such intel could prove useful in future conflicts. Stumbling upon a collapsed cavern, exposed during the crisis, Reptile was shocked to see raptors emerging from within. Unlike the rest of his race, these raptors had never left Earthrealm for the doomed realm of Zatera, and thus had remained safe and hidden. Alone no more, Reptile vowed to remain with his rediscovered people and reclaim their Earthrealm homeland.
This one's really interesting. So at the end, it shows Reptile kneeling down and bowing to a lady that's sitting in the throne. Now, this lady looks like she's bald. She's got some sort of a crown on, and it actually kind of resembles the crown that Shao Kahn's wearing in the reveal trailer of MK11. It makes me wonder if she's actually this time-bending Elder God. It doesn't necessarily look like Reptile is anywhere where he's talking to the Elder Gods, but I don't really know who else this woman could be. I don't think this one will play a huge role in MK11. I do think it's possible that Reptile could find these people, but I don't think he's going to have like an army and be a massive threat to Earthrealm. It is interesting though, because if you know the lore, and this is really like the old timeline lore, centuries ago, when Shinnok first kind of left being an Elder God, Raiden allowed Shinnok to defeat this realm where Reptile's people were. And while he was doing that, Raiden was able to take the amulet from him and kind of take away his power, essentially, and push him into Netherrealm and keep him there for, centuries to be punished by Lucifer until he met Quan Chi and was able to rise up. But it wouldn't surprise me if these people found out that their homeland was destroyed and Raiden kind of allowed it to happen. Because he did. Raiden knew he could not defeat Shinnok one-on-one. So he allowed Shinnok to go and destroy that realm. And by doing so, it kind of distracted Shinnok enough that Raiden could take the amulet. Now, obviously, it was Shinnok that they should be mad at. But unfortunately, that's just sometimes how these things go. Now for Scorpions.
Remorse for his role in resurrecting Shinnok weighed heavily upon Scorpion's soul. His desire for vengeance had brought Earthrealm to the brink of destruction. Scorpion offered to perform harakiri to atone for his offense. But Raiden suggested a more productive alternative. Instead of death, Raiden sentenced Scorpion to life. He imbued Scorpion with a small portion of the Jinsei's power, linking him to Earthrealm's essence. Scorpion and his Shirai Ryu clan would protect the Jinsei and Earthrealm forever.
It is an interesting ending. I don't think it will completely be canon. I basically believe that Scorpion will feel remorseful and Raiden will get his help to assist him in defending Earthrealm as well as possibly invading other realms. I don't think he'll necessarily have the essence of the Jinsei in him though and be tied to Earthrealm forever. But it is an interesting take. I mean, with this ending, I mean, they're effectively making Raiden Quan Chi and Scorpion doing his bidding, but from Earthrealm instead of from Hell. But, you know, now Raiden's a bad guy, and, you know, it's kind of interesting. I don't necessarily think it's completely canon, but I do think Scorpion will help Raiden defending and being an aggressor for Earthrealm. Now for Shinnok's.
Earthrealm belonged to Shinnok. It became the staging area from which he would finish his war on the Elder Gods, which began eons ago. The Elder Gods had lied to the denizens of the realms. They were not individual beings, but merely parts of a greater collective known as the One Being. Shinnok would merge the realms and awaken him. Whole once more, the One Being devoured the Elder Gods. Shinnok watched with satisfaction. This reality had finally come to an end.
It's an interesting ending. I mean, I don't think it's canon. Shinnok is basically just a head moaning and groaning on Liu Kang and Katana's floor. But it is interesting that the One Being returns, and they reference the One Being. I think it's really just a nod to the old timeline. I don't think that's really where the story's going. And if you don't know about the One Being, it's a long story, but basically the different parts of the One Being make up the different realms. So if the One Being exists and is like an actual being, not just kind of a consciousness or whatever, then basically none of the realms exist. There'd be nowhere to fight. There would just be this open space, basically, of where the Elder Gods and the One Being reside. The One Being would just go around consuming the Elder Gods and really consume them all until they're no longer there. If Shinnok, who once was an Elder God, is able to exist in this plane, I think eventually the One Being would consume him too, and I don't think Shinnok would be able to do a damn thing about it, even though he was one of the more powerful Elder Gods. But I don't think that's at all where the story is going, because basically it would be Elder Gods against a fucking cloud and Shinnok. And now for Sonya.
Exhausted by her ordeals, Sonya slipped into a deep sleep and began to dream. Kano held Jax and Cassie hostage. He made Sonya choose who would live and who would die. Seeing no way to free them both, she chose Cassie and screamed as Kano killed Jax before her eyes. Still screaming, she was awoken by Johnny. He had horrific news. Jax was dead by an assassin's bullet.
So I think the assassin they're referring to is Aaron Black, not Kano, and I do believe that this is canon, so goodbye, Jax. And now for SubZero's.
Grandmaster SubZero knew his Lin Kuei clan would need more than martial arts to stave off future threats to Earthrealm. In the frozen reaches of Outworld, he found the answer. A female frost dragon with a clutch of eggs. With his ability to freeze, SubZero hatched the dragonlings. They accepted their Lin Kuei masters and their training as combat mounts. With a force of dragon riders, the Lin Kuei's ferocity became legend. None dared risk conflict with Earthrealm.
Yeah, to be honest, I was a little let down with this ending. I just think it's kind of corny. It's a pretty idea, him flying around with ice dragons, defeating whoever the fuck comes to Earthrealm, but it seems a little too Games of Thrones-y. Now for Takeda.
With Shinnok defeated, Takeda and his father set out to find his mother's killer, a member of the Red Dragon clan. Special Forces tech enabled Takeda to locate the clan's base and disguise himself and Kenshi as they infiltrated their ranks. Deep within the mountain stronghold, Takeda discovered an actual dragon, a prisoner of the clan. The creature used its magic to divine the murderer's name, then transport Takeda and Kenshi to a faraway cave. There they discovered a man encased in a stalagmite. The dragon had said this man would also have reason to confront Su Qin's killer. Takeda began to free him.
So they don't say it, but I think that's Taven. And it's really just a tag on to Kenshi's ending. I don't necessarily think it's canon, though. I don't really think they're going to go down that road. And now for Tanya's ending.
With Melina executed, Tanya's dreams of a free Edenia seemed dead as well. She and the other rebels were fugitives from Kotal Khan's justice. Her fellow Edenian, Raiden, had proved a powerful ally and a satisfactory consort, but he had become useless to her. In exchange for leniency, Tanya informed the Khan of Raiden's whereabouts. Imprisoned, but alive, Tanya's plotting began anew.
Interesting. Could be canon. Some people may not agree. I'd actually rather see Rain in MK11 than Tanya, but especially if he had like more of a classic ninja suit. But anyways, now for Tremor's ending.
Standing over Shinnok, Tremor reveled in his power. Much had changed since the Black Dragon's excursion to the Dream Realm. Kano had sent Tremor's team there to retrieve a psych bomb to be used in Kano's theft of Shinnok's amulet. Exposure to that realm had increased Tremor's power and expanded his mind. He would evolve into an earth elemental, a demigod whose power would rival that of Raiden and Fujin.
Interesting ending. I don't think it's canon, but interesting. And now for Triborgs.
After destroying Shinnok, Triborg turned his attention to the Special Forces. General Blade and the others fought valiantly, but their human weaknesses led to their inevitable defeat. Now with access to the SF computer network, Triborg used it to interface with the Lin Kuei storage drives from which he was spawned. He saved the brainwave data of dozens of his Lin Kuei brothers and sisters to the SF servers. The SF laboratories provided the materials necessary for Triborg to create cybernetic bodies for each one. Soon the downloads were complete. The Cyber Lin Kuei had been reformed. But because SubZero had forever sullied the clan's name, Triborg decided to begin anew. He would henceforth be known as the leader of the deadliest clan in all the realms, the Takunin.
It's a real interesting ending, and I wish it was canon, but I don't really think it's going to be, and my main reason for saying that is because I don't really think there's going to be a plethora of cyborg warriors in MK11. I just can't see them being important to the MK11 story that we know so far. And I can't see them filling up the roster with a few of these guys. Maybe they could just bring in Cyrax and Sector, and I think that would be good enough. I don't think they need to really bring back anyone else. The cool thing, though, is if you do look at the image, there's Sector, there's Cyrax, there's Triborg himself, and then there are 3 other cyborg ninjas. I think 2 of them are likely Smoke and Cybernetic SubZero. There is the third, though, who's a green cyborg. And I have no idea who this could be. I've seen people speculate that it could be Reptile. It should not be Reptile because there should be no reason for the Lin Kuei to have Reptile's DNA. So it could really be just a new cyborg altogether. Someone else from the Lin Kuei. I don't really know. I don't necessarily think this is canon, though, so I don't think we're going to see a green cyborg in MK11, unfortunately. And that is the last ending, so unfortunately that's the end of this episode. I had a lot of fun doing it. Hopefully you had a lot of fun listening. I don't want to make this episode go on too much longer, so I'm not going to really ramble on. If you agree with anything I said, if you have any comments about what I said, or if you have some different theories as to what I stated, please follow me on Twitter at @plusframes_, and please let me know. I would love to hear your feedback. I love speculating about this stuff, so I'd like to hear your ideas. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my podcast already, please do so, and please, if you have the time, give it a review and a rating. I would greatly appreciate that. Other than that, that's really it. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to do another episode until the community reveal, because we're going to get a shitload of information then, and that will be a really long podcast. Also, I don't really think NRS is going to release any more information until the community reveal, and really any information that comes out from now until then will likely be bullshit, so I'm not going to really cover it. If anything comes up that is noteworthy, I'll discuss it during my reveal podcast. Also, just to clarify, I'm not doing any kind of a live stream or anything like that for the community reveal. I'm just going to be watching it on Twitch or wherever I can watch it. That seems like the best source. And then I'll do a podcast later just summarizing what I saw and my thoughts and stuff like that. Anyways, thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.